All right, so before we talk about the actual game, any updates on some of the injured guys? Let's start with Darius.
Not really. We know that he's going to have an MRI today. We know that he said he hyperextended his knee last night. I think we'll see, obviously, when he wakes up today. Hyperextension is just kind of a mechanism of injury. It's not an actual injury. So if his knee bent back a little bit, he could have stretched one of the ligaments in there. And it's something that could keep him out a couple of days, could get kind of sore after sleeping on it. So we'll see. Hopefully he's good to go. I think these reps he'll get against the Jets are really valuable in the joint practices. Nevertheless, the next preseason game. So I think for his development, it's important to get back on the field as soon as possible. So we'll see what they do with him. But obviously, getting him 100% and having him for week 1 and beyond is the most important thing. Matt Ioannidis, they seem to have dodged a bullet on. He seems to be okay. He just got rolled up on, according to Jay, but nothing serious. We'll see if he misses a couple of days sore or whatever. And I wonder if they hold him out, too, because he's been battling a turf toe that could probably use a couple of days to try to heal up a little bit. And then Trey Quinn, someone told J.P. Finley last night that he's okay. Jay had said at the podium he's getting some internal things checked out. I'd imagine at the very least he's sore as hell because that shoulder pad that he got hit with went right to the area where you don't really have any padding on your ribs. So that had to hurt.
And by the way, that's a tough kid. Trey Quinn's a tough kid.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's part of the reason they liked him is because he's willing to go over the middle and get smashed. Quarterback to a trap corner who comes and blows your brains out or your insides out.
He caught like 115 balls last year at SMU, and he was getting pummeled too. So that's a tough little kid.
Yeah, and but it looks like he's going to be okay, which is obviously terrific.
Craig, give us one or two guys that really jumped out and surprised you last night. Guys that you were like, maybe so-so on during camp, but really flashed during last night's game.
I don't know. See, that's the thing. I feel like a lot of guys last night actually played kind of to what I thought. Maybe guys had a little bit better. Like, I thought Harris and Davis at receiver position, both of them played really, really well. I can't say I'm surprised, though. They're both talented guys who belong on NFL rosters. Like, they're NFL-caliber players out there playing against other backup-caliber NFL players, and they did prove to be maybe a little bit better than, New England's twos, let's say, on the outside, and that's good and impressive, and I think it makes you feel better about the wide receiver depth and where he's like, okay, if these guys have to play, you're not dead, as opposed to just like, oh, God, just stick a couple of them on the back end of the roster behind the top 3 guys that we know are good. So I think those guys showed well. I thought there were 4 rookies that stood out last night. The biggest guy who probably made a leap from camp is Greg Stroman. Obviously showed the punt return ability, but he also had a couple plays on defense, and I think he's progressively gotten a little bit better during camp. He started just terribly. He was getting plays made on him left and right, and I think that he's shown an ability to improve that is important and could wind up keeping him on this roster. I think Danny Johnson was really good last night. He's had an amazing camp. I think that dude's going to make the team because it's getting to the point where it's like Josh Holsey last year where there's just no way to keep him off. You can't justify it to yourselves or to the team to keep him off because he's one of your best 53 football players. And then Tim Settle was really, really good last night. Maybe he's the biggest surprise because he's been inconsistent in camp but has shown flashes, and last night he was consistently good. And if he can do that, because last night he probably played about the number of snaps that he would play in a game, maybe a few more, but obviously he'd get them more evenly distributed over the course of a game. So if he can be fresher and still perform as well as he did last night, that would be a huge boost to this team.
So getting back to the receivers, obviously Doxson, Jameson, and Richardson are your top 3, and then obviously Reed is your tight end. Do you see them keeping 6 receivers, so 3 backups, or do you see them maybe keeping 7?
I would think it's 5 or 6. 7 would be. It's so hard. It's just so hard to keep 7. There might be 7 that deserve it, though, which is going to be tough. I think Quinn's probably – I don't know, man. I've been saying Quinn, and everyone has been saying that Quinn is a lock for that 4th spot. But if Harris can play the slot, you wonder if they feel like they can maybe sneak Trey on the practice squad and keep Mo Harris around, a guy who's got a little bit more versatility and experience in the offense and right now is a better player, even if you think Quinn might long-term develop into a better player. So I think that Quinn, Harris, and Davis, and then Brian Quick are all fighting for 3 spots, at the very least 3 to get to 6. And I don't really think there's a whole lot of separation. I think Quick's been the best of them in camp, but he's been battling a thigh injury, and he's got to get back in there and start producing again in practice, and then obviously in some preseason games. Davis, I mean, you see last night the speed he has at his size. That's just, man, that's just not teachable. If you're 4'3" at 6'3", you have a leg up on making the roster.
Right.
And Maurice Harris is just, he runs every route exactly like, it's the Ryan Grant thing. He runs every route exactly like they want it, and he can do it from every position, which provides a versatility that is a skill that no one else on that team has. So I think that they've all kind of got their unique take on the position, and it's going to come down to which roles do they feel like they need and who can play special teams the best, and all of them have different roles on special teams as well.